Craig.
I'm waiting. There it is. I was waiting for it. Craig.
Delayed Craig.
Here we are again on the newest bi-weekly schedule, Rules, Jewels, and D&D Schools. What are we doing this week, boys? We're doing subclasses this week. Custom subclasses.
I'm pretty
I
proud
made
of mine.
one. Joe made one. Isaac made two because he's an overachiever.
Fuck you, Isaac.
You're gonna have to talk a little louder. Your mic's clipping your voice out. If you're
I know. I saw that.
Yeah. All right. You guys ready? Who wants to go first?
Well, Isaac's got two, so he's got to go first, right?
Yeah,
All right.
sure. Overachiever goes first.
Okay. So I did the first one I did was for the cleric. So we just went over all those, and I was like, this needs to. We need to have something that's like
not shit
in the middle. Maybe I don't know if this is going to be overpowered or not, but it's going to be fun.
Hey, listen. I would say about the overpowered thing. Don't worry about it, because when I was making mine, I was like, this sounds OP as fuck, and I'd like scale it back, and I was like, this still sounds OP, but that's what I want. At the end of the day, these aren't going in an official book, so they can be OP.
Sure. So I did because there's all those the domains, but there was no chaos domain. So it's like, okay, I'll do a chaos domain. So I did chaos domain.
Okay.
So the idea is you exert a bit of control over chaos to aid yourself and your allies. So notable spells in your spell thing that you get, Chaos Bolt, which is normally a sorcerer only spell.
That's a pretty big, powerful one.
That's level 1. But yeah,
it's just, I know, I'm just saying, like, that's an interesting level 1 spell that you can scale up.
It has, I mean, it fits the theme perfectly. So Nether's Mischief. And one that is not actually, because it's normally like you get them on the odd levels up to level like 5th level spells, but instead of getting 2 5th level spells, you get one later, and it's Prismatic Spray.
Okay.
So what you get with this is, let me go back to my other things. I had to read the spells off right there. At level 1, when you take this, first I gave you proficiency with heavy armor. Because, sure, that's something that was a lot of them were in there. Like, that sounds fine.
I think all clerics.
I don't understand why that's not just a part of cleric.
Yeah, I don't know. So the first big thing is called Chaos Within You. So starting at level 1, you have the ability to sway chaos within yourself. Anytime you roll dice that is not for a D20 check, so not an attack roll, savings roll, or an ability check. So things like damage, healing, divine intervention, hit dice. You can re-roll any number of the dice once, and you must use the result.
Okay.
Is this like once per long rest, or
this is anytime you roll those dice?
Okay.
So it's a gambling thing.
Okay.
Okay.
So you may roll, like, if you're rolling a D6, you roll a 4. You're like, oh, do I do it? Do I go for it? And you get to decide whether or not you want to re-roll that, because you have to take the second roll.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what you get at level 1. Level 2, with your channel divinity, you can use your channel divinity to influence the chaos thrust upon you and your allies. As a reaction, you can channel divinity and make an enemy re-roll any number of dice from one attack, and they must keep the result.
Okay. Yeah.
So the big thing there that is like used for, hopefully, well, the most powerful thing I was thinking of was be like a dragon breath.
Yeah.
If they roll,
everyone gets hit with a dragon breath. You're like, re-roll those ones that you rolled highest on, and then they re-roll.
That'd be good.
You get to choose which ones they re-roll. It's not just
any number of them. Yeah.
Ooh.
At level 6. Improved Chaos Within. So beginning at level 6, your ability to better control the chaos within you. When you re-roll any die with the Chaos Within feature, you may add or subtract 1 to or from the result to the maximum or minimum of that die. So if you roll a 5, you can make it a 4 or 6. And if it's a D6 and you roll a 6, you can't go to 7, of course. But you can make it a 5 if you wanted to. So you get a little bit of extra control within the chaos there by adding or subtracting 1 from any one of the die. At level 8, instead of the standard, you add your wisdom modifier to your cantrips. you add a D6 to your cleric cantrips. Because then that can then be influenced by your chaos within to go up or down potentially.
Yeah. Okay.
And then at 17th level, you gain the ability to assert your will over chaos. After dice are re-rolled via your chaos within or channel divinity chaos without features, you can use this feature to then determine the results of the reroll up or down to the maximum or minimum possible after the reroll occurs, but before any results occur. You can use this feature twice, and all charges are restored after a long rest. So that means that if you were to roll like a mass cure wounds, roll the dice, and you look at it like, oh, it's not very good. You re-roll some of them, still not very good. You can just say all of them are max twice per long rest. Or if you get Dragon Breath, you can say those are all minimums, and you can do it twice per long rest, but that's at level 17.
Ooh, damn, that's fucking strong.
I figured I wanted to make it strong. That's the top level.
That would be wicked, though. Like that makes a cleric feel so much more useful in those high pressure situations where you do get a Dragon Breath that catches everyone.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, this isn't going to hurt as bad.
Yeah,
Thank God.
So that's my cleric.
I really like that one. Honestly, that one feels pretty good. Like, that feels really good.
Sounds like you're a big fan of like just random chance.
Yeah.
I love me some random chance.
It's the gambler's cleric.
It sounds fun. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Gambler's cleric. That's what it should have been. Order of the domain of gamblers. The gambler god.
So there you go.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. A little strong, but I mean, I figure all these are going to be pretty strong. I feel like nobody writes a subclass the first time. This is what I was thinking when I was writing it. Nobody, even Wizards of the Coast people can't write these things, and they're not OP in the first draft.
Yeah,
like they're never balanced.
This would require play testing to see where it was strongest. I don't feel like it's too overpowered, but I mean, have to play test it.
Being able to force someone to re-roll a bunch of dice on their they hit you with a fireball. Re-roll all those good ones. It's like,
then you
can only do that. You can only do it with Channel Divinity, so that's only twice per.
Yeah, I suppose.
Can you use it to help your buddy? So if your buddy rolls a fireball and he rolls like crap. Okay.
No, only your rolls or an enemy's rolls, not your allies' rolls. I thought about that, and I was like,
that really levels it back down to where it feels really even.
Yeah, that's probably all right. Well, who's next? Joe, you want to go next? Me, I can go next.
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
I did a barbarian.
Ooh.
Path of the Bloodthirsty Warrior.
Ooh.
I went with. Starting at level 3, you have Quickened Rage. You have begun to harness your rage. You can now enter a rage using your reaction instead of your bonus action.
Hey.
Kind of help get you into that.
Yep.
That way you're not waiting around that a battle starts and something's about to hit you big. You can at least jump into that. I'm taking half damage.
Yeah.
I like that.
Additionally, at level 3, Bloodthirsty Strength. Your rage is filled with bloodthirsty anger. While raging and damaged, you become stronger the more hurt you become. When your hit points drop to 3/4 maximum, you deal an additional D4 of damage on your damage rolls. Additionally, when you reach half health, the dice turns into a D6. And at a quarter health, your die turns into a D8.
Okay.
So, that's per attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you're going, the more you're getting beat up, this is like a front line. I'm taking everything. You're just getting beat up, but you're just raging into it.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, that's fine.
Starting at level 6, Bloodthirsty Cleaver. Your anger leads your swings. As a bonus action, you can wildly swing your weapon to hit every creature within 5 feet of you. Make attack rolls for every creature within range. On a
Whirlwind Barb.
The creature takes only your weapon damage. Using this leaves you open to attack. Your AC is dropped by 2 until the start of your next turn. You may use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency score.
I like that.
Does it reset on a long rest or a short rest?
Resets on a short rest.
Oh, okay. That seems cool because that's like a big thing that martial classes are lacking.
Yeah.
Is
The big thing I'm kind of going
not...
for is like, this is a big time damage output and big time come hit me. I'm ready to get hit.
Yeah, and it synergizes with the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Starting at level 10, Bloodthirsty Aura. Your presence in the battlefield never goes unnoticed. While raging, you may choose to enter your aura as a bonus action. When you are within 5 feet of an ally, your allies have advantage on melee attack rolls. Additionally, enemies have disadvantage on melee attacks made at your allies. Enemies also gain advantage against gain advantage on melee attacks against you.
So it's like a taunt, basically.
Yeah, it's like a taunt.
Okay.
You become easier to hit, but you're protecting your allies. Your presence on the battlefield makes everything around kind of focus in on you.
Okay.
And then starting at 14th level, Unrelenting Bloodthirsty Strength. Your Bloodthirsty Strength has become fully harnessed and is upgraded. Your dice now starts at a D8 at 3/4 health, going up to a D10, then to a D12. Additionally, you can use your Bloodthirsty Cleaver a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, plus you get to add your strength modifier to the damage.
Woo!
That sounds so strong.
That sounds incredibly strong. I'm not going to say anything because I know that mine sounds super fucking broken and strong, but that sounds insane.
Yeah, that sounds like, hi guys, I'm going to carry the party through every combat.
That's freaking sick, though. It's freaking awesome.
I wanted a beast, boy.
I wanted a beast. I wanted a monster that was dominating everyone, dude.
Hell yeah.
That's freaking great. I like it. I like it a lot.
If you're at a quarter health and you like hit 8 things with your whirlwind thing, you get a D12 on each one of them at the late levels.
Yeah.
No. I thought it was the whirlwind only does weapon damage.
The whirlwind only does weapon damage, and then at level 14, you get to add your strength.
Yeah, it doesn't add your okay.
Doesn't add the D12.
Yeah, it doesn't add the D12.
You're not doing your weapon dice plus your strength plus a D12 on everyone. That would be extra bonkers. No one would stand a chance, dude.
Hey guys, come group around me. Let's fight.
Let's fight. It's like a combination of a whirlwind barb and like Huskar from Dota 2, which is a game that I hate but play.
Everyone hates that game that plays it.
Okay. Yeah, everyone hates that game. It's fun. That's cool. I like that a lot. That was really rad.
I would definitely play that, and then I would feel overpowered the entire time.
Let me tell you something, Isaac.
Whatever you're gonna throw at me, DM.
as someone who likes to build OP characters, it's great. You should try it sometime.
Yeah,
it feels awesome just being the guy who can take everyone out.
I was thinking, I'll make something really strong, and then that's where DMs you gotta learn to balance those fights. Make us fight.
I would say
what sucks about those is if you got one really strong person and everyone else is kind of weak. It's like I have to balance for the strongest person. Hope nobody else gets in the way.
I can't imagine who has that character. What would I change about this? Like, I feel like what needs to change to balance this out just a little? Is it?
I feel like the whirlwind thing is fine.
Yeah.
Because I mean your DM's gonna know it can happen, and therefore the monsters can know to either, if they want to like give you that moment, they can group around you. Or if they don't want to get wrecked, they can not. Like they have some control over that. I think that
the taunt is the only thing I would really change.
Yeah, because even if they have advantage on you, like you're always taking half damage. So I think that's really the only thing.
If you tweak the taunt a little bit, I feel like that's a perfectly like like a decently balanced, like on the stronger end of the scale, but balanced as far as a subclass goes.
Yeah, again, it'd be something I'd want to play test with, but I think the taunt is what pushes it over for me as well. It's like,
Otherwise,
all
it's
these
fine.
guys, you're hitting me only, and I'm taking half damage. Let's go.
I have tons of health. No one can touch me.
Hey man, that's the thing, man. We need a tank.
You're hitting me, and the more you hit me, the harder I'm going to hit you.
I feel like Joe, you would have absolutely loved D&D 4th edition.
Oh yeah.
D&D 4th edition was very much like built on that. 5e you can have a tank, but 4e was like, this is a World of Warcraft dungeon group. You got a healer, you got DPS, you got a tank, and they fit those roles and they do things that are very specific to those roles. There was none of that like muddying.
Right.
But yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds super cool. I like that a lot.
I like it.
All right, you ready to hear my broken ass one?
All right, let's hear the broken ass one.
I will say, man, I had to change so much shit. I was starting to I was making it and I was like, is this a subclass or is this just a class? Martial magic. You remember once upon a time, Isaac, I told you about wizard with a gun, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've modified that idea into this.
Okay.
Man, where do I start?
Is it a wizard subclass?
Huh? Wizard subclass. Wizard subclass. Man, I don't want to read that. Medium armor. The weapon types that you can use are based on you pick a weapon, one-handed weapons. You pick a weapon when you choose the subclass, and that becomes your main weapon. You're not trained in any other type of weapon. If you choose a short sword, that's what you have and that's what you use. You choose a bow, that's what you have and what you use. And you can train for other things later if your DM allows you, but as far as that goes, it's that. That's my limitation to keep this from being super dumb. The other thing is instead of like what I was talking about before with you, where you imbue the weapon itself as part of your casting, because the gimmick is you can't cast spells like normal. No normal spell casting at all. What you have is like a pack of, for the sake of ease, I'm going to call them marbles. You have to imbue these marbles with the spells that you want to cast. And then the weapon that you choose when you reach this level, when you choose the subclass, is a specially made weapon that allows you to insert these marbles, and it destroys them upon use. You can only have as many marbles as you have spell slots, and you cannot use concentration spells at all as part of this class. And cantrips are limited as well. Cantrips are limited to, let me see what I said. Cantrips can be imbued into your chosen mage weapon a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus plus your level in martial magic. That keeps you from hitting with your sword and having a firebolt damage every single time you attack, which would be super dumb, super broken. So cantrips don't need the little marbles. Only your bigger spell slot items do, first and above, obviously.
Okay.
And let's say you have 4 first level spells, 2 second level spells. That's how many marbles you can have. Now, there's a contingency for spell scrolls. If you find a spell scroll, you can turn that into, you have a number of slots equal to, let me see where. Imbue orbs. Starting at second level, you gain the ability to imbue orbs with the spells that you know. These orbs are marbles and are destroyed upon use. You can have a number of orbs or, man, I wrote this in a haste. You can have a number of orbs equal to the amount of spell slots you have, as well as a number equal to your proficiency, plus your proficiency bonus. Oh, man. Wow. What did I write? Sorry. You can have as many as you have spell slots, plus your proficiency bonus extra for spell scrolls. If you find a spell scroll. Now the spells.
Okay.
So if you find a spell scroll, you can put that into an orb, but one-time use. If the spell scroll is higher slot than what you can cast, it has a 40% chance of backfiring and harming you once activated. The chance is reduced by 10% at 6th, 10th, and 14th level, going up.
Okay.
Using a percentage die.
All right. I don't remember what the rule. There are already rules for casting spell scrolls that are above.
I don't know. I didn't know what it was when I wrote this, and
okay.
So I use this as a stand-in. So like if you can only cast level 3 spells and you'll find a level 5 spell scroll, you can totally convert that into one of these orbs. But if you use it, there is a chance that it backfires.
Yeah, one question.
Okay.
Whenever you're imbuing the marbles and they're ready to go for the next day, do you do that like when you're like right before a rest?
Yeah, you would do that at the end of the day or at the beginning of the next day. That doesn't matter. That's
similar to like
another big question.
Okay.
Whenever you imbue them, are you like, okay, I have 4 first level spells. I'm imbuing this stone with this stone with this stone with this, and this stone with this. So you're stuck. You're locked into those spells for that day.
You are locked into the spells that you do. Now, you don't have to do a different one on every one. If you have 3rd level spells and you want to be like, all of these are fireball, you can do that, but you are locked into the spells.
But you're stuck with only fireball for the whole day.
Well, you also have, so if you have 2 3rd level slots and 3 1st level slots,
I realize that. I'm just saying, like, if you used all your 3rd level slots, you'd be locked in. All your 3rd levels are going to be that fireball. Okay.
This is an attempt to balance this because I went back and forth on this a lot. I knew mine would take a while because of how much I felt like I had to change. That's the 2nd level thing that you get. That's so then at 6th level, you gain the ability Quick Imbue. Starting at 6th level, you gain the ability to imbue a number of orbs equal to your proficiency bonus as a bonus action. So if
you do all of them, like you do, if you have 10 total spells and your proficiency bonus is 3, you can do 7 in the morning and keep 3 for quick.
Yes, for quick, to be able to be like, oh crap, I need this spell, and you imbue it, and then you can load it in and use it. So these things are going into the hilt of the weapon like a cartridge. You're loading them in, and when you activate it, it destroys that actual marble, physically destroys it.
Okay, so you're Hawkeye.
A little bit, but it works with it will work with swords, it will work with bows, it will work with ammunition.
If you're using a sword and you go to cast fireball, do you have to like run up and hit them with the sword and it goes off right in front of you?
Okay, here's the thing. I went back and forth on this a lot. If you imbue your sword with fireball and you hit someone with it, it only affects the person that you hit.
Oh, so
you lose the AoE.
You lose the AoE, you get big single target damage because you get your weapon damage plus your normal weapon damage, so dex plus your weapon plus the fireball damage. Okay, so it's only one person. You're a single target person. And if you have a bow, it's the same thing. You imbue an arrow, you shoot the arrow, it hits them. It does massive damage. The flip side, obviously, is you imbue this weapon, you swing, you miss, you lose it.
Ooh, right.
Yeah. This was a balancing thing in the sword mage.
As your like main stat, is this like a dex leaning?
It's intelligence and dex. So yeah. So dex for the weapons, intelligence for everything else. Since you can't the imbuing the little orbs is like a ritual spell that you have to do at the end of the day or beginning of the day. At 10th level, you gain transpose. Starting at 10th level, you can swap places of 2 NPCs or 2 players, including yourself, that you can see within 60 feet. You can do this 3 times per long rest.
Okay. That's just like a venge swap?
It's like a venge swap.
Okay.
Or unlike also on top of venge, if it's you and an enemy, I can swap your places.
Say it again.
If like I'm standing here and you're 30 feet in front of me and an enemy is 20 feet over to the right, I can swap you and them.
Oh, okay.
You can swap yourself and an enemy?
Yes.
Or you can swap an ally with an enemy.
Or an ally with an ally.
That could be pretty busted. I could just like run over to a ledge and jump off and be like, ha ha!
Turn around, swap them. But then, yeah. I guess you could. How often are you fighting next to a cliff? I don't think that's really
once your DM figures that out, never.
Never, yeah. That was one I thought maybe could use a little balancing, but I'd like to see it in play. I felt like the class really needed a mobility feature because at the end of the day, you're still a wizard. You don't have a ton of health, you know?
I think that to balance
and it uses
that
a
out,
whole action.
I think to balance that out, I would say you have to do this before movement if you're using this feature.
That's fine. Yeah, I could add that. That'd be easy enough to add. You have to choose to do it at the very beginning of your turn.
Yeah.
All right.
I would also like to, I think it would be cool if you did put fireball in your sword and it was like you ran up, hit something, and it goes boom and sets off a giant fireball. Right. You're right. It has to be within 5 feet of you because that's where the ignition point is. But it'll be like a 20-foot radius behind where you hit.
Maybe ahead of where you are, because you can't have your own fireballs hit you when you have 25 HP.
Yeah, I know.
I thought about, I mean, that's one of the things that's kind of up in the air.
Evocation school.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I didn't want to eat into other wizard things. Like if I give myself the ability to do the same thing an evocation wizard does, the sculpt, then it's just a better evocation wizard. Why would you take evocation wizard? This wizard could do that. Right. So you don't want to tread on the other classes too much. And I think one of them has something similar to the transpose, but I'm not 100% on that.
You could maybe, if you wanted to keep the AoE, because if you want, I mean, you could put it on a bow, right? And then you wouldn't have a problem with AoE
Absolutely,
yourself.
Yeah. But to balance out between having ranged or not ranged, why would you ever choose a sword if you got normal AoE with the ranged weapons, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Also,
if you're the same when we talked about this a long time ago when you were doing it. This is
This is why I said single, because also, even if it did AoE in the way that Joe described, how often are you going to be able to cast that if you're frontline with someone else? In your campaign, in Friday's campaign, I have Thunder Wave. I haven't been able to cast it once because there's always someone next to me, and that's only a 10-foot radius.
Yeah.
Right. So like the odds of it even being able to be done are pretty slim. So I like the idea of a big single target damager. Besides, once you hear the 14th level thing, I'm leaning in heavily to the single target damage. Overcharge weapon. Starting at 14th level, you can use 2 orbs at once to supercharge your weapon with the effect of 2 spells. You can use this twice before a long rest.
Okay. So you could put like 2 fireballs in it?
You could, and hit someone one time for double fireball damage.
Oh, God.
We also have, this has to be, this has to be single target because
bang on somebody, man.
If you crit with this,
it doesn't crit the fireball because fireball can't be crit.
Is there a limit to what level the spell is?
No, it's same as the wizard, so you can go all the way up.
So you get all the way up to, oh man, you just you double finger a death somebody. 700 points, you dead. 700 points, you dead, boy. But if you miss that with 2 7-level spells,
you wasted 2 7th level slots. And there's still a save, right? I suppose there would still be some kind of save on something like that. Finger of Death has a very, you have to have that save because that just straight up kills them.
Will there be a save on Fireball as well?
This is what I was going to ask you guys. What do you think? Do you think there should be a dex save for the hit? I don't think so because I'm already gambling the roll to hit.
And you're losing out on the AoE aspect.
And I'm losing out on the AoE. I don't think there should. I don't think. But on what's that? The green ray. I can't remember the name of it right now. Ray of Disintegrate.
Disintegrate, yeah.
Being able to hit someone with a Disintegrate where they don't get a chance to save against the damage is too strong. Because that's,
this is the problem we ran into when we talked about it originally.
How do you balance this? I think this is
something. There has to be a limit on how high a level spell you can imbue into the orb.
Potentially that could solve it.
Maybe this is an artificer subclass.
Maybe. I thought about that too. But a lot of the artificer spells aren't strong enough to really matter for this. Well, so you'd have to give them some spells. Yeah, active once you're this level, you get access to these spells. Once you're this level, you get access to these spells. I thought about it both ways. Because I think a lot of the artificer, I'm playing an artificer on Friday, and I think a lot of the subclasses for them are kind of okay. So this is something I really want to play and really want to hash out the ruling for. Because it started out with Wizard as a Wizard with a gun, where I'm imbuing the bullets for the gun and loading them in and shooting them.
Yeah, I think that this would work really well as an artificer subclass with a few tweaks.
Yeah, just a couple of tweaks. Yeah, I could do that. And that's another thing. I was flipping between Wizard or Artificer. I didn't want to be a Sorcerer because that doesn't really fit. Mm-hmm. But Wizard and Artificer both fit just fine.
Yeah, I think with the Artificer, you sort of take that a bit of the nerf, right? Because like you don't get 9th level spells as an Artificer.
Yeah.
So I think that helps.
And maybe
subclass.
And maybe as an Artificer, you add in the ability to create like housings that can be thrown that you can drop the orb in. So you can still choose to have an AoE effect.
Like sort of already an Artificer thing where you can give spells to people.
Mm-hmm. So like I could load Fireball on one of these things, drop it into what is essentially a grenade, and hand them off. But I can't make more. There would have to be a limit, right?
Yeah, they would expire at the end of the day or whatever.
Even if they didn't expire, if you were holding my Fireball grenade and you had 2 of them, well, that's just 2 of those slots that I can't use until those are used.
Yep.
I think a cool addition to it too would be like to be able to like still cast Fireball as an AoE. If you just take that orb and you just chunk it on the ground.
That's what I was saying. You just like activate it and throw it. It has a fuse like a grenade almost. Yeah. And it just breaks a little orb.
You do that with like Disintegrate. You throw it at somebody, it hits them in the head, and it
blows their head off. What do you think? I'd play this class. This is a class that I've always wanted to try to make work. And like in writing it down, I tried to write it down about 6 months ago when we talked about it. But like I couldn't quite figure out how I was going to do it. But I think the system with the orbs where it works no matter what kind of weapon you're using, but you have to specialize in a weapon. Like if you want to use a glaive, you can use a glaive, but that's it. You can only use glaives.
I mean, I don't think that having to specialize in a weapon is that like big of a deal. I think that you, especially if this is an Artificer subclass, you have to like if you switch weapons, you have to take the time to fit a weapon with the ability to be able to
load them. I said at the beginning of this, I don't know why I just said that. I said one-handed weapons only because I felt like two-handed weapons might be too much, but maybe not.
I think that, like I said, I think this is an Artificer subclass, and I think that as we play through, Thursday's campaign, I think that you're going to get a better grasp of how this will fit.
Because I've never played an Artificer. I ended up going with Wizard because like Artificer, I don't really understand fully how it works yet. I've only played it like a few sessions.
I think thematically it fits Artificer very well.
Yeah. Whereas you're making the items instead of having to wait for someone to make it for you.
And you're like crafting the orbs and stuff.
Yeah. You're imbuing the orbs and then you're creating the system that like you activate it, it breaks the orbs. That's another thing. Activation wise, I flip-flopped on this a little bit. Is the activation a bonus action? Is the activation a mechanical activation, as in like you click a button and it breaks it? Or is it like a magical activation where you activate it and it just dissolves? I think thematically, if we're going to go Artificer, the breaking makes more sense. Where they're like loaded as a cartridge inside of your sword and you flip a little switch and it shatters this little orb and charges the weapon.
Yeah, like that.
And then also the spell scroll thing could also backfire, and instead of hurting you, it breaks your weapon in some way and you're not able to use the spells until you fix it. Like a jamming feature like guns have.
Yeah. I don't know that you need to be that punishing with it, but since they're already spell scroll rules.
Can Artificers even use spell scrolls?
Anyone can use a spell scroll.
Yeah, okay.
You just get different bonuses from stuff as to whether or not it casts, depending on whether it's a spell for your class and of the spell slots that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this feels like an Artificer subclass.
I should pitch this to Michael and see if I can just switch.
Doubt
Doubt it.
it.
I don't know. He's saying I could change up my character. Here we go. Big change.
I think this could work. I mean, I'd have to go through it.
I had it all written down.
Get a better feel for Artificer before I know like how it would interact with it. But
it probably would be better for Artificer because I put tools. I gave it armor, weapon types, tools, saving throw, skills you can choose from. I changed all that stuff. So obviously the medium armor type. As an Artificer, like I'm wearing heavy armor on because of the subclass that I chose.
Mm-hmm.
But it could easily be done down to medium. I have this one as Smith's tools or Tinker tools, but as an Artificer, you can use basically any tools, so it doesn't matter. And I changed the skills you're allowed to choose from at the beginning of the class. I wrote like the intro thing, like the flavor text too. I just didn't want to read it.
Oh,
you want me to read it?
Yeah, I want you to read it.
Yeah. Practitioners of martial magic are warriors at heart, trained in the ways of the blade or the bow. Their connection to the arcane is weaker than that of other wizards, meaning they are unable to cast magic normally. To overcome this limitation, they imbue marble-like orbs with spells using a special ritual similar to writing a spell scroll or casting a ritual spell. These orbs can be slotted into special weapons or ammunition of weapons to allow for those spells to be imbued into the weapon they are using.
Yeah, I think this is an Artificer, and I want to see it.
I can rework it for Artificer. I wouldn't even have to tweak that much, really.
Yeah, just Artificers are already proficient with medium armor. You're only proficient with heavy because of your subclass.
Because of my subclass, yeah.
Yeah. And then you may want to tweak because you have a spell list,
but it's really weak. It's not very.
You have the regular Artificer spell list, and then 3rd, 5th, bonus, 9th, 13th, and 17th level, you get 2 spells that are always prepared, and you could add those to be whatever you want.
Yeah, and I personally, I thought the not allowing concentration spells was a stroke of genius on my part because that really balanced out a lot of the problems that I had last time we talked about it.
Yeah,
because I was like, how is a concentration spell going to work in a system like this? Oh, I know. You're not allowed to cast concentration spells.
Yeah, the only thing that would be a little odd is that...
but as an Artificer, it could just be changed. You can cast your concentration spells normally, but you cannot imbue your little marbles with concentration spells.
Yeah, then you may have to reassess the you have to pick all your spells at the beginning of the day thing for the orbs.
Well, Artificers work more like clerics and druids, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, even with the wizard thing that you set up for the wizard one, wizards still get to pick their spells at the beginning of the day. They just go to their spell book
instead of knowing all spells,
all the wizard spells, but
they can.
DM gives it to them. But even you put a greater restriction on that from just the ones you prepare, so it doesn't like you get these ones. They're already picked. Hopefully you need them that day. Otherwise they're useless. Yeah.
But considering you would only really put damaging spells inside this thing, it'd be fine. As an Artificer, as an Artificer also, since being able to imbue items with magic is like the whole thing, you could totally have your medium armor be able to slot in more utility spells. Or your shield.
Yeah, that could be a way that you do, because like you do get some healing spells. And I was thinking about, are you going to like smack your allies with a sword?
Bam!
You could like
him in the head.
You could like have a gauntlet that has a little launcher on it, and you load your utility spells into that, and you like
it'd be like Anna.
You're shooting the little darts at them.
Yeah,
but it just like shoots the little. It just shoots the little marble, and it hits and turns to dust and heals them.
Yeah.
This is sounding better as an Artificer. In other words, I came into this. I wanted to be able to like talk about it like this. And I'm glad it's working out this way.
Yeah, I think that, this is definitely, I mean, it 100% thematically is an Artificer.
An Artificer, I know. But I just don't have as much experience with Artificer as I do with a wizard. I just understand how wizards work a lot better. The level 6 thing could change, and also it'd have to change up a little bit anyways because artificers level
levels.
up progression is different, so I'd have to adapt it for that.
I
but yeah, absolutely.
Down, it's about the same amount of things.
I'd have to look at the spell list, but like you could also have, you know, you load one into your legs and you can run faster or something like that. You know what I mean? It could be anything. Or if you wanted to be a punchy guy, you could load it into the gauntlets on your weapons, and then you punch people with fireballs or kick them with fireballs.
I'm gonna punch you with the fireball.
I'm gonna punch you with this fireball, dude.
Yeah, it certainly has some things to like some wrinkles to iron out. But
you look like an anime character, dude. You punching them and an explosion comes out from your fist. You'd be a badass.
So, okay, I'm trying to think about how this would work for. So, because you get way less spells per day. You get at level.
Yeah, artificers get a lot less spells.
Even at max level, you only get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15 spells per day.
That's enough. What's the max level spell you can cast?
5th.
Okay, so that balances out.
That even feels better. Like only
that balances out in the sake that like I'm not gonna load wish onto all my balls and then
Ooh, you're gonna wish your balls.
I'm gonna wish my balls, dude.
Hope you wish my balls, guys.
I'm trying to decide if you need that additional level of balance to have to pick your spells at the beginning of the day. I don't think you do with an artificer.
Maybe not with an artificer. No, artificer, whatever. You don't. I don't think you need that. I don't think you. I think it's actually
what is it? Artificer?
I don't know. I don't know. You want to look up the what is it called? What's that? There's a system that they use to like pronounce things. Are you listening to the guy on YouTube who pronounces everything?
Artificer.
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 It's artificer. Yeah.
Artificer. Okay. Artificer. So
say it one more time so we know for sure.
Artificer.
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 Now it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's gone.
It's gone. It doesn't mean anything now. What's a definition of artificer? Look it up.
Man, I closed the tab.
I got it. Artificer. Artificer definition is what I want. A skilled craftsman or inventor.
You're like Mark Wahlberg in Transformers.
Get out of here. I'm an inventor. I invent things. Man, we're getting off the rails. Yeah, I think that this works great as an artificer class, and that also eliminates some of the other things. So I need to take some notes.
If you turn Airrock into that, we'll make our group name the Funky Bunch.
We will not.
Airrock and the Funky Bunch.
Airrock and the Funky Bunch, dude. I like that. I wouldn't mind changing my class. In hindsight, I'm just punching things again. Also, the theme I wanted to go for got shut down anyway, so I don't know. We'll see. I'll pitch it.
Yeah, I think it could work. I don't think that you need.
I'd have to look at the level progression.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how you can incorporate you get weapon damage plus your spell damage on things. Like where would the balance for that part of it be?
I think the balance is hitting. If you miss, you just lose a spell.
There are some spells that you roll to hit anyway, right? So you're just getting an extra damage die in there for nothing.
I don't think that that's like a massive deal, but I mean, I'm sure something can be done to balance it out.
Yeah, maybe you don't even need it. Maybe that's the bonus of your subclasses. You get to add an extra damage die when you cast some spells sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Because the downside is that like with a normal fireball, I use fireball as an example for everything. With a normal fireball, if they fail the dex, if they succeed the dex, they still take half damage. But if I miss, I've just lost that spell.
Yeah. So yeah, you could say as a Ooh. How you can choose like at the beginning of the okay, so either you can choose at the beginning of the day how many of them you're going to put into orbs
Yeah.
versus how many you're going to keep for flexibility and just regular casting of spells.
Yeah.
Or you could make it to where it's like you can make it to where you can do it in an action or maybe a bonus action depending on how you want to do it. But you could like I'm trying to decide if that's worse or not, because so over the course of 2 turns you could cast a spell and
if it was a bonus action, you could hit something with a weapon and charge an orb. So I think that's too powerful.
Well, I mean, you're doing it anyway, right? Because that's
well, no, the orbs are pre-made, right? So you're activating them. I was thinking what I was tossing up earlier is whether activating them was a bonus action.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So maybe you could you choose to do an action to make 2 of them or something. So it wastes your whole turn to make a couple new ones. If you wanted to leave some open for flex.
Okay.
Good. Now that we're talking about Artificer instead of a wizard.
Yeah, there's like I said, still a few wrinkles, but I
like
it.
So like if you don't bonus action to activate it, you're just hitting with a normal weapon. That way, when you run out of spells, you still have something to do.
Yeah.
And the increase in risk of having to be frontline, and it fills out your action economy pretty well. Where like you always have something going on. You always have an action you can take. Mm-hmm. That's good. That really keeps combat from getting dull.
Hasting yourself becomes valuable.
Yeah, you could haste yourself. Yeah. It's just a syringe. You pull it out and you go load yourself with haste.
I need my creatine.
You get your little orb of haste and you crush it up into a dust and you go and snort it. And you're like, I'm in it, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
I hate this deviating symptom.
I think that can work.
Yeah, I think so. I'll rework it.
Busted.
I'll try to rework it and we'll have it for, well, if it works out great, I'll pitch it to Michael. If not, maybe we'll do it for follow-up on the next episode since we're not doing a themed episode next time. Okay. Follow up.
All right. Yeah, I think that's doable.
Well, we got 10 minutes left. You want to go over your last one real quick?
The second one? Okay.
Man, I really ate up all the time.
It was a lot. Like we went from being a wizard subclass to a completely different.
Yeah, we completely changed yours.
We completely changed it. That's what I was hoping for, though. I like to bounce ideas off of people.
Okay, this one was done. This one's going to need more balancing than my other one.
Okay.
But I think that it sounds fun. So this is a monk subclass.
Okay.
It's called Way of the Fist. Because there's like all these like Way of the Open Hand and all that stuff. Why isn't there a Way of the Fist? There's Way of the Fist.
You're like a Wing Chun Kung Fu practitioner?
We'll find out.
Okay, yeah. We'll find out.
So at 3rd level, you get Physical Sacrifice. And it's starting when you choose this tradition at 3rd level, you control your control over your own body allows you to sacrifice from your physical body to empower your ki. As a bonus action, you can take damage equal to 1/4 of your max HP, rounded up, to regain your maximum to regain half your maximum ki points, rounded up.
Okay.
After you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you take a long rest.
After just hearing that,
cannot be resisted.
After just hearing that, if you flavored this in like a more realistic kung fu style, it could be a very awesome thematic thing. So instead of what you just said, there's a thing in kung fu called iron body where you train your body to be able to take more abuse in certain ways, in specific ways. You train specific things. Like if you were training the back of your hand, or if you were training your fist, you'd punch sand and grip sand and things like that. So this could totally be worked into a more traditional Wing Chun Kung Fu style of build, just thematically, and it would be pretty cool, I think. But that's just me. I do Kung Fu. I've been doing Kung Fu. Yeah.
So that's the first thing is you can take, and those numbers I think need to be play tested and maybe balanced a little bit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Order your max health, round it up, and you get half of your maximum ki points back up to your maximum ki. You can't have more than your max.
Okay.
At 6th level, you get, well, right now it's just called parry because I couldn't think of a better name for it. But you learn to sometimes guide incoming attacks to points on your body that can withstand more damage. So when you take damage from a melee weapon attack, as a reaction, you may spend 1 to 2 key points to reduce the damage. Roll 1 martial die per key point spent, add your dexterity modifier, and reduce the damage by that amount. So if you're getting hit by like a glaive, you can use a reaction to spend 1 or 2 key points and then roll whatever level you're at, your martial die. It's between 1d4 and a d10.
Okay.
Roll those, add your dex, and you reduce. It's kind of like the Goliath thing.
How many key points do you get in a day?
Endurance.
Stone's endurance.
You get 1 key point per level that you have in monk. So 1 to 20.
At higher levels, I think that this should have an ability to use like a lot of key points, like maybe 5 key points. Okay.
Wait for it.
Okay, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. Go ahead.
So that's what you get at 6. Is basically you become tankier. You can sort of stone's endurance off some of these things while using your key.
Okay.
At 11, it's called honed reflexes. Your experience has improved your reflexes. You now have 3 reactions per round.
Ooh, okay.
So that one's tough because
if you're Sentinel on people.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just take Sentinel and be a nuisance.
Yes.
And no one's getting away from me.
And you can also just be a tank and be using those parry reactions over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The downside to this is maybe it needs to be 2 reactions. And the ultimate downside is like if you go 11 points into monk and then multi-class into something that can use silvery barbs.
You're OP.
You're not hitting my friend. You're not hitting my friend. You're not nat 20 ever.
You could easily like add a descriptor to this where like multi-classing not allowed.
Well, I don't know if it would actually be too strong because you could have a maximum of 9 levels in a caster.
Yeah.
And you're going to be sacrificing a lot to get that. So it might be okay to do that.
Yeah.
But this being the only thing that I know of in game that would give you extra reactions, I'm sure there's going to be some ways to bust it.
Knock it back to 2 reactions instead of 3, and it's probably just fine.
Okay. So yeah, there you go. But you get an extra reaction.
Do that new thing where level 18 you get your epic, or level 20 is the epic boon. You could add an extra reaction to that.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, so level 17, you get Focused Strike. You've learned to use your ki and your physical body together as a devastating attack. When you hit a creature with an unarmed attack or monk weapon, you may spend up to 10 ki points and add 1d10 per ki point spent to your damage total.
Oh,
bang.
That's good. I like that. That's a higher level thing, so that's fine.
It's a level 17 thing. So you could theoretically do that 3 times per long rest because you could do it twice, use up your 20 at level 20. You could use up your 20 key points, take your bonus action to take damage and get half of those back and do it a 3rd time.
Are we against upgrading some of the other stuff once it gets higher level? I'm really stuck on this.
You could add like a reaction to that too.
On this parry thing, I'm getting stuck on the fact that as a you could just spend more key points, like 10. It would have to be somewhere between 5 and 10. And there would have to be a limit on the amount of times you could do it, but to like completely redirect an attack away from yourself. Because that's how parrying in Kung Fu truly is trying to work.
Yeah. And like theoretically that's what you're doing whenever someone misses you on a monk. You're not wearing armor. So it's not like, oh, it glances off your plate armor. It's like, no, you deflected it if they miss your AC.
I always think of it as like you're just stepping out of the way or something. But yeah, it could be just like tons out.
I think it's like a mixture. You're moving your whole body and pushing away. Flow like water, my friend.
I don't want to make the parry too strong.
Yeah, I understand.
Because I don't want you to be like, oh, you can hit me all you want, and I'm just never going to take damage.
Well, there's a limited pool, right, that you can pull from.
There's a limited pool.
You can only do this so many times anyways.
Yeah.
And if it's high cost,
generally want to use your key points for things like stunning strike and flurry of blows. So
yeah, that too. You need to like you need it for that as well.
Yeah, I feel like taking
parry's probably good the way it is.
At level 20, that's if you use 2 key points, that's 2d10 plus your dex that you're taking off the top of a melee attack, which I feel like is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Especially since you're going to have at least 2 reactions. So someone with a multi-attack, it hits you twice, and you're going to do that at least 2 times if you want to. I feel like it's pretty strong. I don't know, but that's one of the things I have to play test and see how it works out.
I didn't think most of that sounded that OP.
No.
I think most of it sounded all right.
Yeah.
That reduced the amount of
reactions.
Sounds really
cool. I really like the fact that you're really emphasizing the key stuff, and it's not just going to be, I use my stunning strike. Stunning. I want to stun him. I want to stun him and hit him a couple more times. I like the flavor add. I like the additive to your key point. It makes the key points feel more useful.
Yeah, I like it. No complaints. Reduce the reactions down to 2 instead of 3.
Okay. Maybe at level 18 or 20 you get it that third one or something, but
or you could
add it into the 17th thing.
Yeah, you could balance.
In addition, you get an extra.
You could balance it this way: if you use 2 reactions, you don't get a bonus action, or if you use a bonus action on your round, you don't get the extra reaction.
I'd rather just leave it.
Just have 2.
Yeah, I think you at 11 you get 2. You have 2 reactions, and then when you hit 17 and get focus strike, you also get a 3rd reaction.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. That's fine. Yeah, I like it. That didn't even seem.
I guess you could be like, if you don't use your bonus action, you can use a bonus during your reaction phase. You can use your bonus action as a reaction. If you didn't use your bonus action, or if you use it and then your turn pops up, you don't have your bonus action.
I guess to be fair,
want to use their bonus action though.
A lot of things don't use reaction anyways. That's why I was pitching on the spell episode. I was pitching so many things that used reaction because reaction feels like such a wasted, thing that they were like, you get reactions. Here's 2 things in the whole game that you can use it for.
The one thing on the focus strike, there's a couple things that I need to clarify.
Okay.
And or balance.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think? Do you think you declare it before you attack, or do you think it's like Divine Smite, and after you hit, you can be like, "Oh, I'm going to pump a focus strike into that"?
I think you pump it after you hit.
I think the opposite. I think that you need to declare that beforehand, because if you're thinking of it, if you're thinking about it mechanically, you're using your body in a way to charge your strike to hit. It's not something where you can hit and then choose to imbue, right? That's
the way I'm thinking it is you hit somebody and then you go bam, like that second just
but boom. Like the strike. I'm gonna be a kung fu nerd for a minute. When you strike someone with like a straight, like an arrow punch, like a monk style punch, the point of contact is almost instant. You're wanting to pull your fist away as soon as you hit it. It's not like you're not Superman. You're not going over the top and punching and pushing them. You're striking and pulling back instantaneously. So you would need to make the decision before you hit, because there wouldn't be enough time, because you're just hitting and pulling back instead of like that boxer style. I mean, boxers do it too. Punch and pull back, because you want to keep your hands in a defensive position at all times. You want to have your hands out in front of you for defensive reasons. So you strike, but you want to pull it back into a defensive position as fast as possible. If you're in hand-to-hand fist combat like that.
But I am just saying, I am not going to want to play something if I go, I'm going to imbue this with 10 key points and then I miss.
Yeah.
But it's really, but if you think about it, it's really similar to the losing your spell slot thing, right? You're taking a gamble on the fact that you're going to be able to hit.
Yeah, but as a caster, you're not going to be up front meleeing.
And Divine Strike, you lose it. That's the same mechanic. You lose a spell slot, but you get to decide after you hit.
I think if you decide after you hit, it can be just like, it could be a little busted. Where if you can guarantee that these 10d10 are going to hit, you're going to be like, oh, this is one where I hit. I'm doing 10d10 extra on this one. Right?
Okay, how about this? Sort of in between. you declare focus strike before you hit.
Yep.
But if it misses, you don't lose any key points. That way, you're not saving it for crits, right?
Or that would work. Or you declare it beforehand. But wait, let me think about this one more time. Okay. You declare it beforehand, but you can declare it. If you want to declare it, you can choose. If you declare it when you hit, you can't go the full 10. There would be a limit. And if you want to declare it before you strike, you can go higher, increasing the gambling.
That feels bad though. If you spend half your key points and then
up to half, up to 5.
Because there's a lot of mechanic
5.
stuff. There's a lot of mechanic stuff where it's like you declare after, like with the gunslinger, like Cabal's Ruin, you declare that after you hit.
10d10 is a lot of damage.
It is.
But that's the thing, like with the Cabal's Ruin, you can decide how many you want to pump in there. It's kind of like it's similar. And you do it after it hits. You hit and you go, okay, I'm pumping everything into that.
Maybe I don't like it just because of the way that just because of the fighting aspect of it and the monkiness. But yeah, sure. I mean, it's your thing.
I think like as far as mechanically, you could say that your key follows through, right? As opposed to you following through.
Or it's like a secondary thing, like you punch, and as you're pulling back, you empower your key is like your soul energy, and that flows out and then pumps.
Okay, I guess there are styles of attacks that are two-stage attacks, and I guess if you want to describe it in that way, you can. But describing it as like a normal punch, I think the descriptor is where I'm getting stuck in my head, just because of the fighting aspect of it. If I was going to 1-inch punch someone, I have to know that I'm doing that beforehand, because that requires the mechanics of the body to be aligned in a specific way to get the most power out of that short of a distance. It starts at your foot, kind of comes up, engage your whole body, right? Boom, 1-inch punch. That's what I'm thinking of as like the key thing. You're not going to be able to like activate this instantaneously upon knowing that you've hit the strike. Now, I think that the descriptor part of this that you can change is there is strikes where you hit, and if they back up a little bit, you can follow up with a secondary hit. So it's hit, follow up. And that could be, you've guaranteed your hit, and you're describing it as a secondary, like little strike that you are imbuing. It's just a fluff thing that I'm talking about purely.
Yeah, I think I like you declare it beforehand, but if you miss, you don't lose any key.
Sure, that'd probably work.
Because that 10d10 is a lot of damage, and if you're saving that for crits,
it'd be dumb.
That's going to be too. Yeah, it's going to be.
If you roll a crit and you're like, adding 10d10 to this one, baby, it's like, okay, like there's no randomness at all. For such a powerful ability, I think that's probably the only thing that needs to change. You can declare the amount you want to use, but it doesn't go away if you miss, and hits if it hits. Sure,
yeah,
I'll take that.
Like that. You can still theoretically in one round do like 20, 21, 22, 23 d10 worth of damage.
There should probably be a restriction to where only your first strike of each round can benefit.
Oh yeah, you can only do it once per round. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, that way you're not going 10d10, 10d10. I did 75. I did 110 damage in one round.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Once per round. Once per round. Because you're focusing, dude. You can't focus more than once per round. Way of the fist. That's good. It's like Wing Chun. You're doing Wing Chun. Pow, pow, poo. In close. Fist striking. Pow, pow, pow. Your kicks are all real little tiny dickhead kicks that hit people in the shins and knees and stuff. All right. Well, there we go. Filled the whole time. We're doing good. I think that went really well. We really covered the last two in depth. The first two were just pretty balanced. I don't think there was really anything to change. Joe, yours only needed like one slight change, and I thought it was decently balanced.
I think a thing that could really help balance it too is like maybe instead of getting that extra dice on every attack, it'll be like Colossal Slayer where you only get it on
once per round. Like, yeah, okay,
which one?
Yeah,
I think
good.
that would help balance it a lot.
Yeah, that could be good too. That once per round stuff really helping out in retrospect. And then Isaac, your first one was fine too. So I'm dying. Woo! Oh, now I gotta edit that out.
Bivalent vaccine.
I know, jeez. Anyways, thanks for listening, everyone. You guys got anything else to say before the end of this one?
I don't think so.
Next episode.
I had a good time making a subclass.
Yes.
I was pretty happy doing it.
It's pretty good.
It took me a while to get started, but once I found finding the theme helped me out.
Yeah. It took me a little while to get started. I do think I benefit a lot from bouncing ideas off people, because even if the things they're saying aren't what I want, it allows me to like branch out more. Get caught up in your own head. Anyways, that's the end of the episode for real this time. Bye.
Bye.